The Third Temple is the second full-length album from Spite, a Brooklyn, New York-based black metal band, and an act that has always approached black metal in a way where they see it as a cumulative act and a culture that is derived from many different, like evil heavy metal sects over time. It is definitely an underground movement in their eyes, and it should stay as such in a pure form. That doesn't mean that they are either devoid or dependent upon Norwegian or Scandinavian black metal tropes in general, but rather that elements of speed metal, death metal, and thrash metal all feed into the traditional heavy metal forms that built black metal early on. So it's not a retro record, and it's not a retro band at all, but they do participate in black metal as an observer of black death and thrash metal, all in a grouping of tone, and find their own signature in songcraft from that point. And for the most part, this is a very focused, elaborate album that has it's a full hour plus of music. It has I think something like 13 songs, and each of them are about 4 to 5 minutes long, and so it's a very direct and focused narrative that covers both prequel and sequel to the previous record. And if you're not familiar with Salpsan and his label and a lot of his associated bands, you've heard me talk about Horns and Hooves before, certainly Negative Plane and Funereal Presence, but this band is maybe closer to the Mortuary Drape side of things in that there's heavy metal and thrash metal in their work, but also a focus on the riff. The riff and the directive lead melody is what carries through a lot of these songs, but when they go to look for variations on those said riffs, they might pull from Old Slayer and Venom for Shape. They might pull from like early 90s Norwegian black metal for the attack and the guitar tone. So he creates a palette that is specifically his own sort of shape and sound. Rest assured that this is a strong follow-up to the previous album. It is a bigger album, it's a more demanding listen, and it has quite a lot more work that went into it. There's a lot more to say here, and we really just get a full hour of Spite on this record. So I guess what I'll do is I'll give you a taste of that in a clip here, and then I'll talk about how that works out as a listening experience.
One mortal won't away. Our forces have been weakened, but we are taken by our reign. Our union now divided. Our president's taken.
From what I've read, this album was recorded back in 2019, not long after their first record released, and essentially taking that momentum and not having it affected by the pandemic. For me, that made this album something a little bit special because it isn't affected by the pandemia. It's got kind of the fire going from the last record taking off, and finding a way past that last record very quickly and with a lot of, frankly, pretty riff intensive songs. And I think the thing is that this record keeps up the diversity of pace and riffs so well. It has me talking about Bathory, Catharsis, and Graham Belial's Key in the same paragraph, talking about two or three songs. And so I think there's a very strong element of craft here in terms of pushing out a bunch of solid songs that all really hit with a lot of conviction, and then ordering them in a way that it makes sense and it entertains. The remarkable thing about this record is that it doesn't falter throughout its 68-minute length. It doesn't necessarily fall back on a shitty riff. It doesn't start cutting out the solos. It doesn't run out of ideas. There's a lot of intensity that went into this record that is admirable in the way that I could easily have seen this record just falling off in the middle and still being pretty good. I guess the thing that I throw in here at the end of the review is that I always ask myself, would I spend any time with this record if I hadn't received it for review? Would I have sought this out? Would I have enjoyed it otherwise? And yes, in terms of this band, this is certainly a case where I would have pursued this record anyway. I probably would have liked it quite a bit, if I had heard it a year later even. It's just, this is a type of music that I like quite a bit, and I think this is a great example of it. Now, normally I would complain that this is just too long, but it still gets a very high recommendation for me because I never once tired of listening to this record. I never once hit pause and walked out of the room. I never just like stepped away from it and said I've had enough of this for now. And I think that's a testament to the fact that I'll return to it in the future. It's a testament to the fact that he's put together a solid record that's worth listening to over and over, and that Spite still has something interesting to bring here on a second record. So a lot of the expected boons to quality and just general interest of the artist that would have taken place in about a year's time certainly apply here. And I'm interested to see what this project does next, since this is technically it's an album that was recorded like 5 years ago, as far as I understand. So I'm interested to see what is next after that point. At any rate, this released on September 27th. You can check it out now. And I would recommend this as one of the better releases of September. You will see it at the top of my best of the month list. And go ahead and check out my review for in-depth thoughts on the whole thing.
Vive, take, say,